Whatever you want. Doug Allison. Here. Kenny Marlett. Here. Brandon McCord. Here. Dave Moore.
Yep.
Matt Smith.
Here.
Approval agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
For community forum, if anybody wants to speak with us tonight. Five, approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Six, approval of bills for payment. Questions on that?
Make a motion to approve bills. Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seven, financial report. I got $3,870,152.24.
Make a motion to approve financial report.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Eight, administrative reports. Start off with Shannon.
Our back to school in-service trainings this year included youth child mental health first aid for all staff, certified and non-certified. That's an every other year training that we do. Vocabulary is a program that our 3rd through 5th grade teachers are using to work on some extra vocabulary practice. I got actually a text message from one of the teachers today that said the kids really like it, so that's encouraging to hear. We did ALICE training and our AED CPR training on some of those early outs that we had scheduled to get those taken care of at the beginning of the school year. And they were both attended by certified and non-certified staff. Last Wednesday, Shelley Blazik from the AEA came to present to the staff on evidence-based practices that come from the Conditions for Learning survey. They talked about building school climate and culture, building student-to-student and student-to-staff relationships, and creating safe environments. I know the teachers received a lot of information that day, but there were also some things that Shelley mentioned that confirmed good things that we're already doing, so that was encouraging as well. Fall screeners have been taking place in the elementary and the middle school with the fast reading assessments. MAP testing will take place in the secondary building at the end of this month. I'm going to start that import tomorrow. And then we will do our SABRs and My SABRs the first part of October, which is our social emotional behavioral health screener. Last week I got ISAS scores. They were, the embargo was lifted that they could be released to the public. So we mailed home those sheets to parents, so they should have received those. And then the last thing I have is October 5th and 6th. I'm going to take a team to the Iowa Best Summit in Des Moines. It's another behavioral emotional health conference. This will be the 3rd year for it, the 3rd year that I've gone as well. So I'm looking forward to taking some new people and some returnees to that as well. That's it.
Questions for Shannon? Thank you. All right, Brett's up.
Alright, just some things that are off and running. The biggest bump in the road obviously is no music teacher. Classroom teachers have done a great job filling that role right now. It's extra work and time out of their preps and things like that, but things that are going on, Mrs. Swope shared the fight song, and there's some online resources that they've been using, some free curriculums that they've been able to use. So they're doing the best they can, and I'm pleased with what they've done given the circumstances. Kickoff for our Purposeful People and PBIS. We started the first day of school with our assembly and kicked off with kindness and our tri-pride expectations for the year. In September now we're on respect, and we'll work on that the whole month. Some project updates. The basketball hoops are here. Rob's working on getting those installed. The fence, as of now, is completed. When I wrote this, it needed to be put back up. It's done. So they're out of the way, and we're back to having a secure boundary around our playground. Our front sign on the north-facing side, they did replace some of the plexiglass, so it does look a little bit better. So it looks a little bit better, but on the south side, we need to secure the channel that the letters sit in, so we don't keep dropping letters. New students, we picked up 13 new students. As of when I wrote this, besides the incoming class of pre-K kids, move-ins, there also were 14 move-outs. The numbers are there who moved. A couple families chose to homeschool with no reason of the school, and talk to them. It's just something that they wanted to try, and we respect that. Have no ill will towards the school at all, and have had great experiences, so that's not an issue there. Open positions, I'm trying to fill, obviously, the music, but we're still looking for a couple associates. Some of the move-ins that we had a lot of move-ins with IEP needs, so I'm still looking for probably 2 qualified people for those positions. We're making do in the meantime. And that's all I've got right now. Any questions?
If it doesn't work out for homeschooling, or is there a waiting period where they have to wait before they can come to school, or can they come right back to school?
If after a month they say, you know what, this isn't working, they can come that day.
Next day.
Anytime. So I mean, that's a tough act. Want their experience to be what they want it to be, but they're welcome back anytime.
Okay. Questions? All right, Rob.
All right, pretty small list here. The backstop of the baseball field completed, everything's done. The 2 telephone poles that were holding up the neck, I'm currently talking with Spectra Contracting to get those removed. They may also install the basketball hoops at elementary. Bonus to actually get them to come over because, the more work they have to do, it makes it more worth their while. They're pretty busy. Johnson Controls finally showed up. They fixed everything but one of the deficiencies that they found. The one that's not fixed is the auditorium sensor. I think we were at meetings or something in the auditorium when they showed up. So they're going to come back at a later date. They have not given me. It's supposed to be next month. Brett talked about the elementary fencing and the basketball hoops again. I received 2 bids for the high school and the elementary roof repair. One of them adjusted their bid yesterday, so obviously we'll probably have to push the decision on that back until next month. When you guys look at those, I sent a scope of work out to both bids. I know we want them apples to apples. I think it's the Castle Roofing. I want to make sure I got that name right. Castle Grove Roofing. So they're a subcontractor of the original company that did the roof at the high school. So they use all of their equipment and process to do the roof. So the other company does not, because it's owned by the original Castle Grove company that Castle Grove works for. So when I talked to them, I just said, just use your version of that product, because they need to be apples to apples as much as possible. So if you're looking at that and there's questions, let me know as soon as you can, so I can get with them and try to get a better answer for you guys. But that's it. And the last one, it shouldn't say compressor there, but we had to get an air dryer for that compressor upstairs in the boiler room. It was a little expensive, but it's definitely worth it. It works very well. So I just want to let everybody know. Everything with the upstairs boilers is operational. The heat should work now going into winter, thankfully. We should hopefully not have any more issues. So,
Questions for Rob? Steve?
We had back school night back on Monday, August 21st from 6 to 7. We had 6th grade orientation and back school night. Had a very good turnout. We had all but 3 or 4 of our 6th graders. As of today, we had 13 new students in our building. Unfortunately, we had about just as many people left as we got new. The full-time substitute position, obviously Brett has one in his building with Mrs. Lyons, and I have Mrs. Nagel in mine, and they've been working just between the two buildings. They've been busy about every day. I know Brett has some long-term subs out of his building, so been sharing Mrs. Nagel over there. So it's worked out well, having those two full-time subs. Tomorrow, the FFA officers are gonna go over to the Louisa County Fairgrounds to help out with the farm safety exercises at the, the Louisa County students in 5th grade will take part in that. And then, Mr. Dunham, has been asked by the Adelaide Booster Club to construct some picnic tables. So he has purchased the wood, and his construction technology class is gonna be making some picnic tables for outdoors, and I believe he's also making one for our outside eating place there right outside Mrs. Merritt's room as well. So we're gonna start on that project. Once again, I think this is about the 3rd year or so, 4th year that we offered ACT tests at Wapello, and we will do that again. They'll take the test in October and April, so they'll start enrolling for that. And just to kind of give you a heads up, obviously I think everybody's aware that we're short one science teacher. Haven't had any applicants for that, so we went with the online program for the chemistry and physics class. Just to let you know, there's 22 kids enrolled in chemistry, and there's 10 kids in physics. So the number-wise, they stay pretty steady from past years. And Brittany Beating has been she's the kind of the coach in the classroom while the live teacher is doing Zoom, and it's worked out pretty well. We had some kinks out. The only real issues that we had early out days. And last Tuesday, we were just kind of a short notice for them. They had to have at least a good 24 to 48 hours, and that was the only day we didn't hold class. So that worked out all right. But so far, happy with that. And they do a very good job checking in. I had a meeting last Wednesday with Patrick Hurley from K-12, and at that time he told me that during the class break we have 100% login. We've had 75% of our kids have gone to the chat room sometime these first couple of weeks of school to ask questions and so forth. So they're using the program when it's intended to. So that's it.
Questions?
All right, the first couple things on my report are repeats from last month. If you want to go to the IASB convention, those are the dates. We will pay to send you if you're interested in going. School board elections, the filing deadline is 5 o'clock on September 21st. Anyone who wants to appear on the ballot needs to get their paperwork turned into this office by 5 o'clock on that day. Ann is working with Public Health to schedule our annual flu shot clinic. We do that every year, so she's working to get that scheduled. If you have an overwhelming urge to come and donate a pint of blood, there's a blood drive happening tomorrow afternoon. I'm having lunch with Representative Taylor Collins tomorrow. We're going to talk about the upcoming session, what he sees as issues that might be showing up, a chance to ask each other questions. We had a good working relationship last year. Yeah, I want to continue that, so I'll be having lunch with him tomorrow. My schedule for the upcoming month, I have a meeting scheduled in Fairfield. There will be other things that come up, but that's the only thing that's been scheduled so far. If you flip over, you'll see our first head count for the year. This is according to Power School. We're sitting at 515 kids listed in Power School. Now remember, this is not the number that determines our funding. That count takes place on October 1, okay? This is merely who's in Power School. It's not our certified enrollment. You'll see that last year we ended with 521. This year we came in with 515. Brett and Steve both mentioned, move-ins versus move-outs are really kind of even. But take a look at the number of seniors we escorted out the door last year versus the number of 6th graders who are coming into the high school. When you send 45 out the door and you bring in 28, the fact that the high school count only went down to 6, I can spin this positively, guys. That's a pretty good thing right there. Bad news is we did not make any reductions last year. We were able to float that. Eric and I don't know if we'll be able to do that this year. It's all going to depend on what our certified enrollment numbers come back as. So we're going to take a cautious look at numbers. ESSER money's going to be running out. We may have some tough decisions that we need to make, but we will know much more once that certified count is done. Okay.
Questions, Mike? Brandon?
I don't have a lot tonight, just hires that are in front of you. They'll come up here in just a minute, but just a couple updates. The record boards for the cafeteria area, we got that wall white. We got the big W from Dave Patrick up in the middle. I got to get some electricity ran to that, but the boards are supposed to ship in October, which is about exactly what they told me, 4 to 6 weeks after the order was completed. Then we had to wait until softball was done. We had some records broken for softball, so it just took a few extra weeks to get them sent in. Football, cross country, and volleyball obviously are underway. I just want to make one note about JV football. As of this morning, or maybe it was yesterday morning, we will be canceling the JV game versus Danville. Here's the reason why. We had to lose one game because if we didn't, our players were going to be over the max game limit. So we had to get rid of one of our JV games somewhere along the road. So I reached out to the ADs in our district and told them that obviously our numbers are low. So week to week, we're gauging our health and our numbers. And I just told them up front that somewhere along the line, we're going to have to cancel a JV game, but more importantly, we're checking our health all the time. And if we get to a week where we can't play JV, we're not going to play. So that could happen. But if they were wanting to go out and find somebody that they could guarantee they'd have a JV game, that was okay as long as they let us know ahead of time so we could plan accordingly. And Danville had Albia contact them already at some point because they both had lost JV games the last couple of weeks. So Albia said, hey, let's play. So they're going to play Albia instead of us. I think that's 2 Mondays from now, right? And then I wouldn't be surprised if one more of those schools reaches out to us with the same kind of thing because they've, I think it was Pekin and Highland have already canceled a good handful of their JV games. And so I would assume that one of the other teams on there is probably going to be a little nervous about losing a JV game, and I'm guessing they'll probably do the same, but they haven't at this point. So, and we're still planning on playing Pekin at the end of the year, which is our last JV game, and we're still planning on playing Van Buren on Monday next week, and so we're playing them as scheduled as of right now. The only other thing I have is October 2nd, I'll be at an AD meeting in Williamsburg for the southeast part of the state. That's where the boys union and the girls union get together. They come down, they meet with all the ADs from the region from like 9 to noon at Williamsburg, and then I'll be back in that afternoon. But it's always good because they kind of update us on some of the legislative things that might be going through or what the unions are thinking about trying to do with sports. You know, there's been a lot of talk about moving seasons around or shortening baseball and softball season down in terms of how many games you can play, and there's just been a lot of discussion of that stuff. None of that's happened yet, but that's stuff they'll inform us kind of how close those things might be to happen. So that's all I got.
Questions for Brandon? Thank you. All right, number 9. Is anyone opposed to any single person on here whatsoever? All the way to the second page to J.
Brandon, is there anything you need to add about the coaches who are listed?
Or ask here?
I think the only real new things are Brian Crabtree, who's volunteering for robotics. He's got a master's in engineering. Bob knows him very well. He helped them when they were building the candy shooting machine for the parade, which they're going to display again at our homecoming parade. So he knows what he's doing as far as robotics and engineering stuff goes. And I think it's always good to have more than one person anyways, you know, in case somebody can't be there one night to supervise, there's somebody there, and he obviously knows what he's doing with that stuff. Cody moving to head girls wrestling. Cody's already coached wrestling, so I think Cody will do a great job. He does a great job with our kids now, and kids love him, and it's good to keep him busy in the district as much as we can. And I'm thankful that he wants to take that on.
We do all number 9 just as number 9, every single one.
You can lump them all together if you want.
Make a motion to hire all personnel under number 9 on our agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to hire all number 9, all in favor? Opposed? Right, passes.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
It was.
All right, new business, consideration approved list of proposed fundraisers.
You got several in the packet. Football cheer is doing a youth clinic. Yeah, homecoming shirts, on pink out for volleyball. Band doing pies,
There are
4-point supper,
better.
Four-point dinner to the last football game. And cookies and canvas later on in the year.
Make a motion to approve fundraisers.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B, consideration approved board policies.
All right, the policies in your packet, they're part of our regular rotation. Our language is up to date according to IASB, so I don't have any recommendations for new language, but I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Make a motion to approve board policy 606.1 through 606.6.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? C, consideration approved camera door panic button tie-in project. Mike has some of the updated numbers, and I have the devices here to show you guys. I wasn't here last time. If you had questions on what we're doing or plan to do or what overall is.
All right, do you want me to go
Go ahead,
first?
yeah.
Okay, all right. What's coming around is a quote from Brandon Hansen. This includes installation and materials. If you remember last month, one of the questions that we had was what the cost of installation would be. He submitted this afternoon. I called him about an hour before the meeting just to verify that everything is correct. And it is. Verkada gave him the list of equipment, said this is what we need. He told me what he's doing is he's passing it along to us at Verkada's cost. He's not marking it up on his end or anything. He's just putting in his labor. So he's saving us a pretty healthy chunk of change. You can get this project done for a total of $34,249.18. And he said he can get that done in 45 days.
Where's that money coming from again?
The grants.
This is your market from that $50,000 safety grant.
Oh.
And this includes panic buttons, one for each building. We've been operating without one since public health moved out to the county complex. So it includes that. It includes door alarms that will help us take care of our door propping and some more security with that. Brandon, you want to show what we're looking at here?
More or less. So these are long-lasting wireless technology with, I think they're 123A batteries or whatever they're called. They last a very long time, lithium. Put those underneath the desk, hide them somewhere where the person has them. I think we can get more of these too. It's not just two. We can get these. These are decent.
Yeah, we could order.
We could order more. For instance, if Brandon wanted one down by the gym, we wanted one secretary, one on the 3rd floor we could install. They're just Wi-Fi related, and it'll tell the unit when the battery's going low, you just replace it. You put them pretty much anywhere. It's your new panic button. Public Health had a radio system, which we went off of. They're no longer here. We do have radios here now, but it's kind of a different setup. And these will be telling Kenny, Cody, me, whoever's on duty that there is an issue. We can set it up to go to cell phones, 911, emails, text, all kinds of different stuff. But we don't have these. Most places have these. Bank schools have these. We're without these. It's not free, but it's a grant. So I would go with these. These hook up on the door. There's magnet connections. These are Wi-Fi again. They tell you if the door is propped for whatever amount of time that you want to set it for. If you're just opening it, it doesn't have to alarm or anything, but if it's open for 5 seconds or longer, whatever, that means somebody probably propped it. Cody can go right to that camera and see who propped it and go to that door and fix it. That's how most bad things happen in schools on locked doors. Bad events. This is something that we need definitely. It ties into everything else. It's all got a good warranty on it. It is pretty easy to just install except for all the cabling that Brandon has.
And it's covered by the grant fund, so it doesn't affect your general fund.
Any questions you guys have, I probably can answer, but I can contact Cody real quick too. He's on standby, just didn't want to wait around town, so.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion in second for the complete project price 34,249.18. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
D, discussion of potential sign.
All right, this is on the agenda because the idea has been brought up. If you remember, a few years ago, we dipped our toes into this and then we quickly backed off on it, but it's come up again. And Brandon provided some graphics. Brett, I know you had talked about looking at some prices. I don't know if you've had a chance to gather any.
This is together, we've been doing this.
You've been working on it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess we're wondering, you know, is there interest in the district to pursue this? If there is, then we can start doing some legwork to see if it's feasible. But if you guys say, no, we're not interested, I guess we need a sense of where the board is.
Well, from my standpoint, I think it'd be nice to have some signage out on the road, but having said that, moving forward, it looks like there's going to have to be cuts, so unless there's, or potential cuts to the budget, so unless there's a fund that is sitting with money that's usable, that wouldn't come out of the general fund or affect the general fund, I guess I would probably not be on board with spending money on a sign right now. However, I did notice recently that the billboard right across the street was sponsored by the Savings Bank. And I know, Two Rivers at one time had sponsored a sign for Mediapolis School out next to the highway. And maybe communication with them, maybe they'd be interested in putting their signage on it and our signage as well, and maybe helping cover the cost because that's advertising.
Yeah, I think some kind of partnership would be the way to go.
I've talked with Brett Schaefer as well, you know, just not in any official sense, but said, you know, is this something that the city would want to go in on as far as public announcement, you know, not related to the school, but it's on the highway, it's visible by community members. And he did say that he had an interest in looking at it with us. There's grants through the Louisa County Foundation that would help supplement, so whatever the total cost would be, you know, there's already players in the game that I would hope we could offset that tremendously to not be a huge deficit to our general fund. But that would be after those numbers come in, and right now we don't have those numbers.
You don't have any numbers yet? We don't have numbers on the books. This was literally just sent to us today. We do not have a number on
Do
that.
you remember what that sign, it was, my way off, I think it was 50, 60.
I think it was originally when you guys were talking about it, I was gonna say 40 or 45.
Yeah, I think 40 something.
Depending on, no, it won't be, it'll be more than that.
What kind of location are we talking too? I mean, out by the water tower road?
Yeah,
along
that's
between
what
there and
we-
the bus barn or something?
That's what we looked at some Google Maps, we plotted some areas out, we need to look and see, number one, is it City of Wapello, is it school, or is it DOT? Permissions on each of those to put something up, should it probably go in a ditch? Yeah, probably, so it's a little bit closer to the road. That's why these heights, that it's 17 feet, to get up a little bit higher. That makes sense, why we're doing that.
I know a lot of schools have that type of signage fairly close to like the main entrance that gets you to the school, you know,
Yeah.
99, but everyth's so congested
It's
right there.
congested and, you know, 61 is gonna be the new main strip to Wapello in 4, 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it is, for the DOT. But that's what we're thinking. Doesn't mean it has to go there, but I think, and there is another fund for donations for this, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had done fundraising, and I have to have Eric check on it. At the time, we had said we were fundraising for a sign, we'd have to go back to that, but, we had raised somewhere between $6,000 and $12,000. But what part of that was earmarked for a sign? We would have to go and look, but there's another piece of, money that we haven't used for other things, so.
Do you have a question?
No, I agree with Doug's comment. I mean, I think whether it's fundraising or sponsorship or whatever, you try to, I don't see how, we're talking about cuts, you take any money for this out of the general fund. I like the idea of it. My only counsel would be, I mean, especially like 61, it's when you're in front of a school and people are somewhat stationary, it's different reading that sign than it is when you're driving by. And I know like when we put in our sign over at the Morning Sun Grain Elevator, I mean, I would have your digital piece be the vast majority of your sign and give yourself as much space as possible. Because when people are driving by, if there's not enough room on that crawl or that scroll, they're gonna get half the message and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
So that would be, I mean, as big of an area as you can get for the digital piece, whether it's a drive-by sign versus sitting in front of a school where
Yeah,
people
I
might
agree.
pull up.
That's a good point.
It's just our schools are spread out, or athletic, or fields are over there. I don't think you'd wanna put it at the high school.
No, I think-
No, I like the
Elementary.
location. I like the
61,
location, but just,
61
you know, if you can,
There's a space close to the elevator, and there are property there that I was looking at too, but still probably think by the
I
water
think
tower.
out
If
there
the
like
sign
band
draws your
practice
attention,
is
you can
somewhere,
actually see
somewhere out in
school
that
facilities.
area.
In that same
No
area.
obstruction on that side of the road.
So we can,
I'm getting the sense we should pursue.
I agree, and we need to proceed quickly because the grant closes September 30th for Loiza County. The riverboat, the Riverside Casino one, I think is closing as well.
Think we could get this funded through grant money?
Some of it. No, I mean, I don't know what to extent. I don't.
I mean, we need to get.
Riverside gives more, of course, but
Never hurts to try.
yeah, the Riverside side's
yeah, and then be reaching out to local businesses as well at the same time.
Now, I don't know if we'll be able to get multiple businesses, especially if we can't put 10 business signs on it. I think we'll have to focus
Yeah,
on.
I would try to
on
maybe
one.
find one. You get too many, then it's just gonna be so much data spread out on the sign that you'll never get through what you wanna convey.
So, but I guess the meeting tonight is just for us to look into it further, get some pricing, get everything sent out at least, and apply for grants. Once we get a quote or a couple quotes. But the pictures are sent to you guys, and I guess now kind of picking an option of what we want to get quoted. Because there will be, it looks like, substantial differences on the materials.
Kind of like a combination of 1 and 2, the base of 1, but the blue
top of
Wapello
2.
community schools at the top of 2, but I don't like the brick.
That's kind of an old.
Option 4.
Mine's option 2 probably. But yeah, I do like the top of the option 3.
I like the
There
base
is
of
some
option
suspense
2
out there
because
about
it's
that.
all inclusive. You know, Indians leaves off half of our athletic program.
I think it's supposed to be arrows on the back, but
Got it?
I'm not positive on that. That's a guess.
Okay.
So is anything that needs, maybe just everybody send their thoughts to Brett and go from there.
There's nothing to decide.
But we can move forward at least.
As far as the grants go, and anybody that has information like the White County Foundation, if we get to the point where we receive it, there's X amount of dollars, they usually like us to share the cost, and we don't move forward with it. Or we are awarded that, we just have to give that back. Does anybody know how that works?
Typically, you don't get spent that first year, you either have to ask for an extension or they could request it to be returned, so.
This is general fund period, I mean, is there any other place to fund it out of?
You could fund it out of sales tax, but realizing the borrowing that occurred on the wrestling room, we shifted all the expenses out of Pebble into sales tax, so we, you shifted a couple $100,000 worth of expense into sales tax, so, it's sitting with $600,000 or $700,000 in it. You could fund it out of that, but we also have to have a discussion in the near future about buses, what we're gonna do about those, so. It could all be spent in a hurry if you wanted to, but.
Well, to Doug's comment, even if they fund, if it's a $40,000 sign and they fund it at 50%, or, if we have to do any cash outlay, I just don't know how you could spend, 10, 15, 20 grand on a sign and yet still make cuts on.
It would have to
on
come
staff.
from sales tax too.
All right.
Let's do our best to get it funded elsewhere. Some quotes. That's just info.
Yep.
All right, we're on to E, consideration approve SVRC application modified allowable growth for special education deficit.
You should have a sheet in front of you that lists our special ed expenses and revenues for the year that just ended. It's that blue and white. Down at the bottom corner, there's a yellow box, $262,000 is what we overspent in special ed according to what we were given from the state. So state allows you to go back in and recoup the spending authority right away, and then you go back and levy the cash during the budget process. So whether or not we want to levy that cash, that'll be a future discussion. We do want to recapture spending authority right away.
And we do this every year.
I don't anticipate any further changes to that. If by chance we change it, these are all due Friday. If by chance I make any changes, I'll have to bring you a new one, a revised one next month, but we're still within the time frame. But if we're done and it doesn't change, we might as well get this one approved and sent off now.
Make a motion to approve, SBRC application for modified allowable growth for special education deficit. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? F, consideration approve corporate authorization resolution.
This is just a banking form updating personnel changes. We're putting Tammy on the account so she can make deposits in the event that I'm gone. She could do banking. And in fact, this really hadn't been updated since Brandon became president, so we'll have him sign it too. They never said anything, but I think they're slowly working through some of the documentation in Minneapolis that you can still go in and borrow money, I guess.
Too late now.
So I got the document, you got a copy of it in your packet, but this is all, it's just an update of information, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the corporate authorization resolution.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? E, consideration set date and time for next.
All right, the second Wednesday in October is the 11th. Doug, are we gonna need to go to 7?
I'll try to make whatever the rest of
And Kenny, you're 7 too? Okay,
That's the last week.
I'm sorry, what day did you say?
the 11th.
Because we'll go the next week too.
That's regular season. week.
Last regular season, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we plan to play one, at least one.
Have any comment on that?
We're playing more,
Right,
or two.
you say so.
So the 11th at 7 o'clock.
7.
I'm gonna make a motion on that.
Motion to have.
So moved.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Doug.
7 p.m.
Dave, go ahead. Second.
Alright, motion second, October 11th, 7 p.m., all in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
adjourned.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
I was waiting for the president to
You had
ask.
just
I can't
completed
make a
the
motion.
shortest
I was waiting for
board
you to
meeting
ask
in
for it.
history.
I don't know. We